Start this. Hi, everyone. This is Hal Croasmun with Screenwriting U. And tonight we're going to be talking about how to write a spy thriller. Now, this is, in my opinion, one of the most fun genres there is to write. They're also, when they come out and somebody's done a really great job on them, they're absolutely amazing. So we'll be doing an analysis, by the way, of Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. We could have chosen almost any of the Mission Impossibles. They're all really well written. This is just one that I thought everybody will know, so that's why we're talking about it. Written by Christopher McQuarrie, excellent writer. Somebody who he's had multiple projects that he's put out that just wowed the industry. And that's where I'm hoping you get to go at some point. So today, we'll be walking through first the thriller and the spy conventions because you need those, and I'm actually going to give you both. So you're going to see the thriller conventions, and then I'll show you what changes to make it the spy conventions. We'll talk about what makes this movie amazing, Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. And then it's not just about spy devices. I want you to know that. I had a friend who kept saying, "Oh, I wrote another spy movie." And I'd say, "What makes it a spy movie?" And he'd go, "I got this cool device." And he'd name off something that he'd made up. But none of his scripts ever got to that point where they really had a chance because he didn't understand all of this. He didn't understand what makes it a great thriller and spy story. So, and then we'll talk about the upcoming class, Mastering the Thriller Genre. Thrillers, in my opinion, well, first, there's two things to know. First one is it is the most requested of all genres. And that according to two different sources that I have. So if you're writing a thriller, I think you have a better chance of getting in the door. And if you're writing a spy thriller, it's like, wow, it's also one of the most fun of all the genres. So here we go. You're writing a spy thriller. Try this. Start with the villain's covert plan. Now, usually what pops into our heads first is the spy mission. And yes, I'm good with starting with that too. But as soon as you have that, just go right to this villain's covert plan. Because if you're missing this, you're missing half of the story. Maybe more. You're missing. If you don't know the villain's covert plan, you are missing all the things that will upstage the hero, that will shock the hero, that will keep the team from being able to do what they're doing. You're missing all the parts where the villain's already ahead of the hero in that situation and may have set them up to go in a certain direction. It's like this is a critical piece of the puzzle. The sooner you can get it, the better. Now, let me say one other thing on this. I have people all the time who tell me, I tried to write a thriller and I got about halfway through and then I just ran out. And it's like, yes, that's a normal problem. If you've had it, do not feel bad about it. The reason a person gets about halfway through is because they were writing it all from the hero's perspective and they were missing this. So if you can come up with this is what gets us past just the regular kind of hero journey and gets us to the point where that your spy or your whoever is your hero is running into problem after problem after problem that they never understood until they know this plan, right? Plus, it also keeps your audience guessing. Key number two, you need to deliver on both thriller and spy conventions. Again, I'll be showing you those in just a moment. But let me say this so it's clear. When somebody says, well, the conventions don't matter, I'm just going to write the story. Their problem is when it gets to an audience that's expecting a thriller is going to go in expecting certain things, mystery, intrigue, suspense, clues being set up, misdirected. There's a whole bunch of things that go into a thriller that if you go to the theater to watch one, you absolutely expect it, right? And then if you're going to see a spy movie, there are certain things you expect also. This isn't about being cliche. This is about finding your own unique way to do each of those. So you just need to know. And again, we'll talk about them. Um, and then it's about making the mission impossible. And and this is the other part. If you're sending us on a mission that we've already seen before, or a mission that it's like, okay, as soon as you say, here's the mission, the audience can sit there and calculate out the journey because they know what it takes to get to that result. You just gave up one of the big things that makes your story incredible. Please don't do that. So it's important. You need to make that mission impossible. That actually is the title, obviously, of this franchise that we're talking about. But it's because that's what always happened in spy stories. From back, well, I don't know when that was. It was in the 60s or 70s, whenever that show came out in the first place. Basically, what they were saying was every mission in a spy movie is impossible. So then there's trust and betrayal. You need this, and it absolutely fits. It fits any thriller, but it really fits spy movies. So here's what trust and betrayal does. You've got your spy stepping into a situation that's totally out of the box anyway, where there is another force that is coming after them in some way, and they're there by themselves. They need to find the people they can trust and the ones they can't. They need to figure out who those are. And whenever they're going to trust somebody, because they have to trust somebody to help them get away. They have to trust somebody if they're hiding in their house. They have to trust somebody if somebody gives them a message. There's a whole bunch of places where trust is going to show up. And that is an emotional thing for us as an audience, right? We're experiencing this spy making this choice. They've got to trust somebody. Who do they trust? And whenever they do it, you're going to create it so that very likely we go with it. We just go, okay, that was a good choice. And then you have this amazing opportunity to create betrayal. And you're going to see in this movie, and this is one of the reasons why I picked it, was because their trust and betrayal that they did, those cycles that they did, were amazing. They didn't just do it once, they did it a bunch of times. I'll show you. And then key number 5 is you need to create a thriller map. And most genres you can get away without having a map. You can actually kind of start at the beginning and know what the story is going to go and just go, all right, I'm going to write my way there. Cool. But here we need to create a thriller map because there are so many levels in one of these stories. There's actually about 11 different levels that are happening. And it gets confusing fast if you don't know what you're doing. And here's the important thing on that. You don't want to ever confuse your audience. Now, just get that really clear. You can have them have any other emotion. They can be heartbroken, they can be angry, they can be upset, they can be intrigued, they can worry. There's any other emotion but confusion. If an audience is confused, if a reader of your script is confused, they don't say, "Oh, I love this confusion." They say, "There's something wrong with the writer." You don't want that. So that's important. We'll get to that. So here we go. Thriller and spy conventions. So I'm going to give you the thriller side because this usually it's the primary genre whenever you're doing this. And then the spy one, which is the required genre. So here we go. On the thriller side, the purpose to thrill your audience with high stakes, plot twists, and suspense that never lets up until the adrenaline packed climax. Let me tell you a movie that failed on this so bad. If you ever saw a movie called The American with George Clooney, George Clooney essentially, he's this guy uh, who leaves America to go hide out, basically, and they made it a drama instead of a thriller. And there were spy components, but they made those kind of light. The entire second act was just him being there and kind of talking with the people and recovering. And then in the very end, we had another big fight and a spice fight that went on and stuff like that. That movie tanked. It died the first weekend because it didn't do just this one thing. This was missing. We weren't dealing with high stakes. There was a high stake his life, but once we got into that second act, it was not even present. We weren't dealing with plot twists. There wasn't a lot of suspense, and I was sitting there the whole time going, why are we sitting here? When's the scene that this is going to turn back into a thriller? And it wasn't until the final act, and that killed it. But okay, so make sure that this is there. You need this whole story to build. Now let's go over here. And from a spy side, you add in clandestine spy missions that are impossible, right? So if throughout the thriller, they're going on these missions, and I'll show you some of those in just a moment for this story, that makes a difference. That makes it clearly a spy story. Then it's life and death. They need to face danger at every step, either physically, emotionally, or mentally. I had somebody say to me, well, could I not make it about life and death? And it's like, I've seen some thrillers that worked without it being about life or death. It was, and in spy stories, it was mainly about this, whatever the MacGuffin was, what we were trying to find, what we were trying to solve, stuff like that. But even in those stories, it's like, really, this is about if we don't find that thing, somebody's going to die, a country's going to be blown up, something terrible is going to happen. So you need high stakes in this situation, and that's the way to get it. Uh, on the spy side, dangerous missions, evasion, capture, escapes, and rescues. Watch the movie that we were just talking about, and the Mission Impossible one, and you'll see these all the way through. They're evading, they're capturing, they're escaping, they're rescuing. It's happening constantly. He gets captured. They're about to torture him. She helps him escape. That's how they meet, right? It was a cool way to have two spies meet. So that was well done. That was good writing. Then you've got mystery, intrigue, and suspense. So a mystery must be solved in order to survive. The intrigue is the underhanded and covert villain's plan. That's why I think that's so important, especially if you can get that, if you know that at the beginning before you even write, you're going to have intrigue all the way through because stuff is happening that the hero doesn't know why it's happening or what it's about. Suspense comes from the hero facing danger. So you build that danger in. Again, the easiest thing you can do is make it life and death, and you're in good shape there. Now, on the spy side, it's often built around spy versus spy. If you've got spy versus spy, that's pretty cool because you've got two people who are really good at this whole covert clandestine thing. They can outplay each other and all of that kind of thing. If you've got secrets inside secrets, this is again the spy, secrets inside secrets, that's really interesting and cool. And also, it's the business of betrayal. So you want to master that. Now, you've got a hero. This is somebody who is unknowing, unwitting, but a resourceful hero. And and listen, sometimes in a thriller, sometimes your hero is just somebody who came back from the war 10 years ago. They have no idea what's going on. Somebody shows up and wants to take them out to dinner. They haven't seen each other for 15 years. Wow, this is great. And then we find out that they get captured, and now they're unknowing. They had no idea what was going on. They're unwitting. They didn't intentionally decide they wanted to be captured. But they're resourceful. They have skills. They have abilities. So in a thriller, we don't put in characters who have no idea what they're doing, because that doesn't give us a chance to have them really stand up to who the bad guys are in the best way possible. They're resourceful in some way. Hopefully, it's unique. In a spy movie, the spies are taking enormous risk, right? They're cool when facing torture, when facing death, and love. And this one, by the way, I think James Bond is the one who made that the cool thing. It was like up until that point, there were a lot of spy stories that didn't have love stories. But James Bond put them in, and he was always Mr. Cool when it came to facing this terrifying thing, love. Then your villain. This is somebody who is dangerous, devious, and unrelenting. So if you're just doing a regular action movie, you could just have somebody who's just pissed off, right? And they want to fight, or they stole somebody's stuff, or they're desperate, or they're, that kind of thing. But in a thriller, you want it to be dangerous, devious, and unrelenting, so that they're never going to give up. They're never going to quit. They have a plan that is designed for the hero's demise, and they are going to continue that every moment until it's done. In the spy story, usually it's a master spy who has planned every step of the hero's demise. And so they keep running into problems with this. We saw this in this one. It's like there's a spy that's out there that is better than Ethan Hunt, that multiple times outsmarts Ethan Hunt. And you got to deal with that. So that's our master spy in that situation. So there's the conventions. Also, cool spy stuff over here. And that can mean unique spy technology, devices, gadgets, cars, weapons. Please know this. If you're doing AI as the cool technology, you want to be thinking at least 5 years into the future, which is really hard, but you can probably figure out a way to do it. But you want to be doing that. If you give us an AI that fit today's technology, by the time we get to that movie coming out, it's going to be old and in the past, and everybody will say, hey, what we're doing even right now is better than that and beyond that and all that. So the purpose of the spy stuff is always to amaze us, right? And have people gawk at it and say, wow, I wish that was me. I wish I had that. So make it that. So what makes this movie amazing? This is important. And you need to put this question in with your stuff. When you're thinking about your spy movie, this needs to be there. So here's a couple of things from this Mission Impossible story. It has 5 impossible missions. Now, let's pause. Most of the time when people are writing a spy story, it'll if it's their first time, it'll just have one mission. If they've done it a couple of times, they'll have maybe a couple. But this one has 5, so let's look at them. The opening scene, how do you get on the plane? Got a whole team out there. This plane's about to take off. Ethan Hunt finds some way to get onto the wing. He's got his team working. They're trying to open the door. Oops, they opened the wrong door. The plane is taking off. He's hanging off of it, right? We've got an impossible mission there. How's that going to get solved? Then stop the killing at the opera house. And this is an intricate set of scenes that just how they arrive there in the first place is kind of interesting and compelling. But ultimately they got to stop this killing. And even when they stop one, it still happens with another. So it not only was impossible, but they failed at it. And then breaking into the underwater facility to steal a disc. Uh, I like how they did this. There was something kind of interesting. It's like he has to hold his breath for 3 minutes. You know, I was at one point when I was in high school, I was going to try out for the swimming team, and I got to where I could hold my breath for about a minute and a half. And at that point, it's over. I can't imagine somebody holding their breath that long. So right off the bat, it's just that was impossible. And then he has to jump into this thing, go through all the water stuff. He's flying around. He's trying to find the right location to be able to get whatever the disc is. It, crazy, just crazy. Uh, then you got to get the prime minister to unlock the red box and all the things they had to go through for that. And finally, they had to rescue Reggie at the end, who has this bomb strapped to his body. Uh, and by the way, it's not just that he has a bomb, it's on a timer, it's going to go off. Ethan has just a short amount of time to try to solve that. And the guy who set it up has now outsmarted him 3 or 4 times. So we're his track record. This is worse than any movie we've ever been in before that. And there's a good chance this is all going to blow. So we got 5 impossible missions, not just one. Then again, the business of betrayal. And so watch these betrayals. A betrayal to deliver or expose to an enemy disloyalty, unfaithful in guarding, violating confidence. First betrayal, the U.S. committee, the Congress committee, takes away the funding. So he's got a problem there. Second, then the CIA comes after Ethan. Third, Ilsa saves Ethan twice, but she betrays him multiple times. So we've got this going back and forth. Every time it looks like, okay, these two should be together, then we got another betrayal. And by the way, this is kind of makes it a nice spy love story, right? It's interesting the way they did it. Chief Atlee erases the file. So Ilsa has brought him a file, and he puts it over some kind of magnet or whatever it is, erases it, and then hands it back to her. And it's like, that's a problem. Then he lies to the CIA about Ilsa. He forces her back into Lane's control, which is a good place for her to die. It's like this guy, not good. And he's doing it all to help his country. Uh, he tells her that Lane's going to order her to kill Ethan, and to regain his trust, she should do it. So now he's also betraying her love interest and asking her to betray her love interest. And then he's the one who created the syndicate in the first place, betraying his country. And sorry if that was a spoiler. But just take a look. And there's some others in there too. There's like 3 or 4 at least that I left out. I just wanted to point to the highlights here. It's like they're constantly having to trust somebody and then being betrayed, or having already trusted somebody and then being betrayed. So, and then we've got a romance for spies, which which happens in a lot of spy movies ever since James Bond. um, so in their case, their relationship is their own Mission Impossible. They want to be together. They're from 2 different organizations. How does that work? Both organizations, if they're together, Both organizations are going to worry that intel is going out to the other and that kind of thing. So basically, in order for them to be together, they've got to leave the life that they've been in. And, that's a problem. She is his equal in every way. I love this. It's not just, okay, there's somebody pretty that the spy likes or the other way around. She is as strong, as smart, as tricky, as much of a spy as he ever has been. They're both flirting with death, so they're not just flirting with each other, they're flirting with death, which is also part of who they are, right? It's like these two people have built who they are to a certain place, and this to them is attractive. They have common ground. They're both spies without a country. By the time we get to a certain point, that's the situation. Uh, and just looking at that, it's like, all right, this would naturally push them together. They're both in this situation they've never been in before. They've both been disavowed or whatever it is. Uh, that's a particular kind of emotional experience. They've been abandoned by their countries, and the two of them are now together, and it's like, yeah, yeah, they belong together. She saves his life, then she betrays him, but he understands because she's just doing her job. So, it's kind of interesting. I mean, you would think her betraying him would cause him to go, okay, nope, can't do that. But that's their job. And if we go to the next movie after that, then he does it to her. So, okay. She proposes they go away together. Great idea. But how can they do that when Lane is still a threat? So he can't say yes. And the truth is, she can't say yes either. And they fight Lane together. So again, this is like two people who love golfing, and they're going out and golfing together, and sometimes they're against each other and the whole thing, but the whole time they're flirting with each other and everything. We just watched this relationship happen, and in the very end, she says a line that creates a future for them. You know how to find me. And we know that's true because that's what happened in the very beginning. So interesting. Okay. Now, it's not just about the spy devices. And think about this. Uh, if you're going to have spy devices, they've got to be intricate to the story, right? You must build the story around those spy devices. They need to have meaning. So, knowing that. In this one, they had mask. That was part of it. The standard Mission Impossible thing. The guy tears off his mask and he's somebody different. They had automatic lockpick devices. They had a flute that turns into a gun. Security measures at the facility that they had to get through. And they had, I can't remember all the different tricks they had to use to do that. They had surveillance, facial recognition that they had to somehow fake their way through that too. Uh, they used a glass cage in the end to trap Lane, which, by the way, pointed back to the opening scene where Ethan was trapped inside, the record area. And he was trapped inside something that was glass, so we could see while the gas came up, and he gasped and died and everything else. Uh, I'm sorry, let me just get this here. So, yeah, yeah. And then this, I thought this was interesting. The record player gives the mission, right? So every Mission Impossible always starts out with that mission being given, and should you decide to accept this mission, blah blah blah. And then it ends with this device will just self-destruct in 5 seconds. So this time they did it with a twist. We're watching the whole mission that's playing in front of him. It's a record player, but it turns into a screen. And then at the end of that twist, then it says, because we are the syndicate, Mr. Hunt, and now we know who you are, your mission is to face your fate, right? And then, of course, then the gas comes out and everything else. So we've watched this whole thing, which I think is like a 2 to 3 minutes of them giving all this information about the mission and everything else. And then suddenly we find out that it's the syndicate that has been giving him that information. And really, they just trapped him there. So it was a cool twist, right? And that's part of what goes on with spy stories. So let me show you something here. When you're trying to create a thriller, and especially when it's a spy story, it's going to be complex. There are going to be things that you need to figure out in advance and come up with something, some way to do that. Here's what we're doing, and this is for this upcoming class. We're giving you an easy way to create your project in the very beginning, to make sure that you have something cool and unique that actually has a chance in this industry. So this is ChatGPT. You guys know this. And what I'm about to do here is brainstorm a concept, a project right in front of you. Please know this. Both the Copyright Office and the WGA are okay with you brainstorming to be able to create projects. Copyright Office says they don't exclude brainstorming, so it is totally okay for you to do that. I have checked multiple times. They're actually getting more and more lax about this. But basically, it comes down to this. What the Copyright Office is looking for is what's the final expression that came from the writer. So you can brainstorm a whole bunch of things in your project, and as long as you write them in your own unique voice with your own style and that kind of thing, you're okay. You can get your copyright. So I just want to show you how we brainstorm a project here, because it's actually pretty interesting. Just a second. So there it is right there. Here's the idea right here. This is a sci-fi thriller. So I put in a prompt and then this information. And this one, a politician targets a teacher not knowing that she's a Russian spy who will do anything to protect her cover. So all I did was come up with some kind of idea where we have two different sides, and one of them is a spy, and we're going to see what it is. So what I had it do was brainstorm certain things so that you could actually look at it and decide, do you like this project? Now, not this one, but you're going to create your own. So on this one, a rising politician, this is the concept. Rising politician targets a quiet school teacher in an anti-spy crusade, unaware that she's a Russian AI-enhanced operative hiding from her creators. Okay. I'm not going to say that's spectacular, but it's interesting. It's different. It took my idea to a little bit of a different place. Now, what you'll see, and I won't go through all of this, I just want you to see a couple of things. What you'll see is it gives us the main conflict of that version. It tells us what might be a surprising twist. It then takes us to a deeper layer. So this isn't just a surface or superficial. It gives us an intriguing world that these people operate in. It tells us why it's a thriller, and then what makes this a spy movie. So if what you wanted to do was write a spy movie, you've got enough here to be able to look and see, is this the one you want to write? And by the way, you might look at it and say, wow, okay, I like this concept, but I really don't like the twist. And it's like, that's no problem. Then you brainstorm your own twist. This is anytime you don't like something on there, that gives you a chance to bring your creativity to the table. But let's say you looked at it and you went, no, that's not what I meant. Then here's any second. Oh, the network, we lost it. Let's just see if I can get it redone. If not, we'll try this again. Not that. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if this is the AI or if this is the, just a second here. Let's try one more. There we go. Okay. Retry. Okay. Okay. So here's version 1. Here's a second possible version. Here is a third possible version. Now, by the way, when I'm doing this, when I'm brainstorming these kinds of things, I don't brainstorm more than 3 at once, because if you go past that point, it gets overwhelming and you basically lose your creativity. I should be looking, like, if we go back here, I don't even know if this is the same thing, but I said, okay, suppose I didn't like this surprising twist. Uh, I should be able to go, well, this is the concept. So a cool twist would be X, and I can brainstorm it myself, right? I should be able to create as I'm going through this process. That's part of it. We're not just going, okay, AI said this, therefore I'm going to say 100% yes to it. This is about me and my project, right? So it gives me 3 different possibilities. I'm going to pick one of them. Let's see this. Politicians crusade to expose. Foreign infiltration backfires when his target, a mild school teacher, is a Russian spy controlling a secret AI weapon. I'm not really liking that. Just a second. Okay, let's go with when a politician uncovers a teacher's secret identity, she must outwit surveillance AIs and assassins to prevent her cover and her mind from being erased. So let's go with this one, and we'll just take this one step further so you can see this. And this is really only part of what we're doing on this, but I just want you to see how the whole thing works. So remember those conventions? We picked this project called Code of Silence. If you like that, keep it. If you don't, you change it. It gives us what the tone is. It's paranoid. I like that. High stakes espionage. Okay, good. It tells us what are the life and death situations, and now we're looking at conventions. So what are the life and death situations for this character? She faces multiple ones. She's being hunted by an AI defense system. Okay, I've never experienced that. So that's probably something pretty difficult to get away. She's got to hide her true identity. So emotionally, mentally, her own implanted memories begin to fracture. So yeah, so she's part AI on that. Then there's this mystery, right? And this is the job. You're looking for who activated, in this case, who activated the AI system that is killing witnesses. Why does the politician's memory contain data that only a Russian spy should have? That's always an interesting question. And is the teacher truly protecting her identity, hiding a greater secret? So it's like, okay, so we've got 3 different mysteries that can be part of this story. Then we have the hero. This is going to walk us through who she is. Then the villain and why this villain is relentless. And from there, the main emotions that we're dealing with. How do we create suspense? It's through constant pursuit. Intrigue is through layered identities. Interesting. Mystery through memory manipulation. Tension through unreliable perception, right? So all of this helps you choose what you're going to do. And in this case, it then tells us the movie is thrilling because, and gives you a bunch of reasons. And then here's our characters. These are our 4 characters that are part of this. And with the characters, we listed their role, their core traits, their motivation, their wound, and their arc. Now, if you think about this, what you've got right here is you've got enough to start writing something, but you've also got enough to be able to start brainstorming. And you might, for instance, look at this character, Dr. Elena Volka, and say, yeah, she's intelligent, calm under pressure, got it, secretive, emotionally reserved, haunted. What if haunted was, you know, deceitful, or even worse, something where she turns against anybody that works with her. She just naturally, and I don't know what we would call that trait, but it's like she betrays everyone and everything. And it's like, okay, so you get a chance to kind of play with these. What do you like? Do you like that she's emotionally reserved or not? Is that just part of the teacher cover, or is that for real? Do you like her motivation? And if not, how would you change it? What would you start brainstorming to be able to make that happen? Now, this is what you get before the program. As soon as you sign up, you get the prompts for this. You get to be able to create what your project is, and you can run it as many times as you want. I'd recommend that you brainstorm a version today and that you play with it for a couple of days, make the changes that you like until you have it where you want it. Then take a day off and then brainstorm a new project. We had people in the last program that came in. They had most of them had brainstormed 4 or 5 of them, but there were a couple that had brainstormed like 15 different projects, and the one they picked was astounding. So this gives you a chance not just to create one, but to create a bunch of them and then choose the best in order for you to create something that ultimately has a real chance of selling. Now, let's go back over here for a moment. So the program on this is called Mystery, Intrigue, and Suspense, Mastering the Thriller Genre. And you can write a regular thriller or you can write a spy thriller during this program. This of all the genres that are out there, thriller partners best with spy stories. It really is the absolute best. And if you want to write a great spy thriller, you need a map that will make it easy for you to see what's going on, because these thrillers have the way we do it, they have 10 different layers. They have 10 different layers of depth, and it's easy to get to the point where you're confused, and that's not what you want. So what we do instead is we create a map before you write it. And this is the only genre that I think needs a map. But once you have that thriller map, you'll know exactly how to write, exactly what goes in every single scene. It makes it incredibly easy to write something absolutely amazing. We learned this from a couple of different A-list thriller writers. And once we understood it, it's like, oh my God, this is the key to your success. So this is what you want to do. Join us for this. I'll give you a special in just a moment. But here's what the program is. We went through the conventions today. You got half of what this day is about. So the first lesson is going to be about making sure your conventions work. You will come in with a project that you created beforehand. And what that does is that gets you to where you know what you're doing. You picked the best possible project. So now you have a really good chance of success. On day 2, you're going to brainstorm the big mystery of your story. And you already have at least a version of it, but now the job is to take it to a bigger place. You're going to brainstorm the big intrigue. What is the intrigue that goes across the whole story? And the big suspense. So these aren't about single scenes. This is about what's happening all the way across your story. Then you're going to look at your intriguing world and your intriguing characters. How do you make sure that that's not just a standard world? Like somebody said, oh, I'll put it in the stock market. It's interesting. And it's like the stock market is interesting, but it's not enough for this. We're looking for a sub world that is something that we haven't seen before that we're going wow to, and that every step that we explore is more intriguing, more interesting, more compelling. Then day 4, this is what we call the stacking suspense model. This one's proprietary. I won't tell you about this right now, but basically it's a way to put suspense on top of suspense on top of suspense, and build in these others so that every single moment your audience is deeply engaged. Then from there, we go to the villain's plan. So on day 5, you've created all of this. Now you can easily come up with a villain's plan. And so the villain's plan is what causes most of the intrigue. If you have an interesting villain's plan and something new and unique, everybody's going to love it. If you have an average one, they'll figure it out pretty fast. Day 6, then it's about crafting the big mystery sequence all the way across your whole story. So this is, we're essentially, with these days, we're laying out the plot. On day 7, this is another part of the plot, the life-threatening suspense. So you'll notice we have built the plot, which is a series of events for your story, through intrigue, through suspense, through mystery, and through suspense. So if you see that, it's what's going to happen is every single scene is going to have one or more of these 3. So there won't be a single scene that's uninteresting. Then it's about intertwining them. You're intertwining them into this whole sequence that becomes your entire plot. Now, anybody that looks at it won't say, oh, this is a drama with thriller elements, because that's the death of if you're trying to sell something. You need something that truly is a thriller and that those audiences are going to love. Then it's about plot twists that surprise. And this is something you'll become a master at really, really fast. We've got an easy model. From there, trust and betrayal. You just saw how that works, or you saw how it shows up in the story. We'll give you the model for how to create it. Then it's about how do you create demands for reveals. And just this one lesson will change your life as a writer, because what most people do when they're going to reveal something is they just have a moment where one character turns to another and tells them their backstory. That is the lowest possible level of a reveal. We have a complete model of how you set the reveal up, how you do this moment, and then how you have that reveal change what's happening in the future. And once you learn this, you will use it no matter what genre you're in. You'll use it in every single genre, and your reveals will be so much more powerful. Then it's about engaging clue trails. People love these, and misdirecting your audience. These two go together. From there, you'll put together your entire thriller map. At that point, you're just going to build in all of these components. It'll absolutely make sense the way we present it. You'll be able to do this quickly and easily. And at that point, then it's about how do you translate that map into a screenplay. We have had people who were not thriller writers go through this program. At the very end, they've got their map, and for the first time in their life, they were able to write a script in 15 to 20 days. And the reason why, and I'm talking all the way to the end, draft 3, draft 4, the reason why was because they had that thriller map that just made it so easy. And then, by the way, we've had probably at least 7 or 8 writers that have had movies made. We've had probably 50 that have come out of this program that have been optioned. So it makes a difference. On our dates, give me just a second, and I'll tell you. Okay, yeah. So this class starts on October 27th. that gives you a couple of weeks to brainstorm projects. And I like it when you have time like that, because I think you ought to go through at least 4 or 5 brainstorm sessions. It's incredibly easy. You saw what I just did. You can do a complete brainstorm session like that, creating a project and the characters in about 5 minutes. What I usually do is I go through the whole thing, I print it out, I go to lunch, mark out everything I don't like, make a whole list of my ideas that come to me while I'm doing that. You just use it to augment your own creativity. Now, the regular price on this is $199. This is the special that's for the first 10 people that sign up. You can get in at $129. That saves you $70. And at the same time, it gives you the most up-to-date program there is having to do with writing thrillers. We will be adding some AI prompts to this that you can use in the midst of it. I think you'll absolutely love those. But just right off the bat, what you're going to create from the very beginning will make it so much easier for you to end up with something that has a real chance of winning contest and or getting optioned and getting you into this industry. So here's the link. Just write it down: bit.ly/thriller class. Write that down. Again, it's bit.ly/thriller class. Put that in your browser where you normally put a web address, click return, and your adventure begins. Within a couple of minutes, maybe 5 at most, you will get an email from us that will walk you through how to use these prompts and give you the exact prompts so that you can start creating a project now. So again, that special price is just for the first 10. After that, I think it goes up to $149 or $159, and then after that, it goes to $199. So right now, you can get in for $129. Just use that link, put it in a browser, click return, join the adventure. So just ask yourself this question: what would happen if instead of just knowing how to write, you actually became an absolute master at creating thrillers that people loved? What would happen for you? What kind of a difference would that make for you and your writing and really the rest of your life? You'll be able to use this on every thriller you write from now on. So I hope you can see that future. And if so, please come in and do everything you can to create it. We love it when writers succeed, and I can't wait to hear about your success. So with that, this is Hal Croasmun with Screenwriting U, wishing you the absolute best. And again, if you want to master thrillers, you're in the right place. Bye-bye, everyone.